Good evening and thank you so much for joining us on this Tuesday. You're watching the 9 at Night. I'm Stephania Jimenez. Tonight, San Antonio police have filed an at-large DWI case against San Antonio Councilman Clayton Perry. This is in connection to a hit-and-run crash that the District 10 council member was involved in on November 6th. That's the word from the Bexar County District Attorney's Office. So now prosecutors are looking at that case along with the charge of failure to stop and render aid last month. And now prosecutors have to decide whether to move forward in the case. It's unclear when they're going to make that decision. In other news tonight, Uvalde's mayor had harsh words for the county district attorney. This comes 5 days after the city filed a lawsuit against the DA's office for withholding information needed in its independent investigation into the city police department over its actions in the school shooting. Mayor Don McLaughlin tells Lee Waldman the DA's actions are detrimental to the city that's trying to move forward with police accountability.
The DPS is investigating the DPS. They have access. Texas Rangers are investigating themselves. They have access. The Border Patrol is investigating themselves. They have access. The city has been denied access.
After being named the defendant in 2 other lawsuits filed last week, the mayor of Uvalde, Don McLaughlin, is speaking about one filed on behalf of his city against Uvalde District Attorney Christina Mitchell.
We have no choice. We need answers so we can go through our police department and make changes that need to be made. If we have officers that need to be held accountable, we need to know what their actions were that day.
In July, McLaughlin announced an independent investigation into Uvalde police would be done by Austin investigator Jesse Prado. Initially, he said it would take anywhere from 60 to 90 days. Now he says because of DA Mitchell withholding materials like body camera video and audio, Prado's investigation cannot move forward.
I kept quiet for the last 60 days, 70 days. You didn't hear me say anything negative about it, hoping that we would resolve this, and we didn't.
In previous statements, Mitchell has said the release of information would impact her criminal investigation into the May 24th shooting at Robb Elementary. McLaughlin says that's not true.
Mr. Prado told her that it would be kept strictly confidential, wouldn't be released without her okay. And he also told her that if he came across anything that was criminal that they had missed, he has an obligation and a duty to bring that forward to her.
Since the shooting, there's been a constant battle between McLaughlin and Mitchell. He hopes this lawsuit gets them in front of a judge and the independent investigation back on track.
It's not like you're going to be able to put this off forever. It needs to be transparent and on the table, and let's move forward.
And that's her Lee Waldman reporting. Now, his family, in other news, his family describes him as being full of energy and having love for everyone he met. And today would have been Rogelio Torres' 11th birthday. He's one of the 21 people who were taken from Robb Elementary 6 months ago. His family says that he loved playing with Pokemon cards and eating Takis. They say that he also loved people and was always willing to help. Now, if you want to hear more of Rogelio's story from his family, or even learn more about the other Robb Elementary School victims, you can visit ksat.com/Uvalde victims. Can you help? The San Antonio Police Department needs to find a hit-and-run driver who killed a man last month. So this happened November 14th at the intersection of South Zarzamora and Hazel Streets, just west of downtown. Police say the driver of the white sedan in the picture that you see right there hit and killed Gilbert Trevino. Whoever was behind the wheel did not stop and try to help. They continued on South Zarzamora. So if you know who that person is, call Crime Stoppers. Their number is on your screen. It's 210-224-STOP. This afternoon, the defense representing a former Border Patrol agent charged with 4 murders rested its case. And now all that's left in the trial of Supervisor Juan David Ortiz is closing arguments. State testimony today included 2 forensic experts. A firearms expert testified that all of the bullet shell casings tested in the murders of 4 sex workers belonged to the .40 caliber gun that Ortiz owned, which the government gave him. A trace expert testified that tire tracks left at one of the crime scenes also matched the tires on Ortiz's truck. And then later, the jury heard parts of a phone call that Ortiz made to his wife from the Webb County jail.
I'm very concerned over the statement that was made. There is no evidence. It's just that confession I made.
Now, Ortiz was referring to the confession that he made during his interrogation. The defense and state are expected to make their closing arguments tomorrow, and then the jury is going to begin deliberating. If Ortiz is convicted, he would be automatically sentenced to life in prison without parole. In a separate case tonight, jury selection started today for the trial of a man accused of shooting and killing a police dog. Chucky was a Bexar County Sheriff's Office K-9 deputy that was shot during a multi-county pursuit back in 2019. 42-year-old Matthew Mireles is facing charges of aggravated assault against a public servant, possession of a firearm, and evading arrest. And that trial is expected to begin tomorrow. Arson investigators are suspicious about a house fire overnight on the east side. It was at a home on Cardiff Avenue near I-10 and East Commerce Street. Firefighters had a difficult time getting into the home because of the burglar bars on the windows. Eventually, they did put the fire out, and they saved 2 pets in the backyard. He allegedly used a cinder block to threaten a man before stealing his car, and tonight that robbery suspect is facing charges. 26-year-old Giovanni Gomez de Hoyos is charged with aggravated robbery for the incident on November 6th. The arrest affidavit states that he got into a victim's car and allegedly hit him with the cinder block, then allegedly threatened to hurt him again if he didn't drive him around town. Police say the victim drove for a bit but then tried to get away. And that's when investigators say that Gomez de Hoyos threw the cinder block, which grazed the victim's neck, then threw the victim out of the car and took off. Now Gomez de Hoyos' bond is set at $65,000. You know, the holidays can be tough for people grieving the loss of a loved one. And in the LGBTQ+ community, there are extra layers of grief. Our Courtney Friedman explains why that is and tells us about a grief workshop that's happening Thursday specifically for the LGBTQ+ community.
She was just a great person, my best friend.
Almost 2 years ago, Deborah Myers lost her partner of 35 years, Nikki Valdez, an LGBTQ+ pioneer in San Antonio in Texas, as one of the first openly gay women in the Alamo City.
She passed away on Christmas Day in 2020.
The holidays will never be the same for Myers. Luckily, December 2021, she found a holiday grief workshop tailored to the LGBTQ+ community.
I could share and be comfortable and not worry about that extra layer of vulnerability.
The group is led by the bereavement chaplain at Porter Loring Mortuary, where they developed a grief curriculum. They offer 8-week seminars throughout the year, some specifically for the LGBTQ+ community.
Grief happens in the LGBTQ community in different forms. So recognizing that it isn't always grief from a death, but perhaps grief from not having a relationship with your family or having grief from losing a job.
Robert Salcido Jr. is the executive director of the Pride Center San Antonio, which hosts the workshops.
The grief groups happen right here in the Pride Center in San Antonio. That 8-week workshops that they hold are about 5 to 15 people, and you have to register. But this week's holiday seminar is open to everyone, and it's a drop-in situation.
They're still with us, each of us getting to share ideas and emotions and stories helps to process the grief.
A place where sorrow and isolation can bring together a new chosen family. Courtney Friedman, KSAT 12 News.
Yeah, the last holiday grief workshop of the year is this Thursday, December 8th at the Pride Center. It's from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. You can also sign up for the 8-week courses right on their website. All right, now let's take things outside. You know, it was warmer today than you'd usually expect for a December day. Meteorologist Adam Caskey has your forecast.
We're in a fairly consistent and persistent weather pattern with morning fog, then a little bit of afternoon sun. Fog settling in tonight, reduced visibility, some drizzle, overall dampness for the morning commute tomorrow. Visibility under a mile at times. Mid-60s in the morning, 65 at 7 a.m. by noon. Some breaks in the clouds at 78, and then a high temperature of 81 degrees around 3-4 p.m. Basically a repeat performance every day through the weekend and even into early next week. Mornings in the 60s, afternoons right near 80 degrees with the morning fog. Also, you will notice the humidity and mugginess in the air. So really, over the next 7 days, think of spring-like weather more than December weather.
All right, keep that in mind. And we're out of time. The 9 at Night returns tomorrow. We're going to see you then. Have a beautiful night and stay cool.